For Enter Shikari, if we go right back to the beginning, what was Enter Shikari's mission as a band, and what has the mission become? Because it's been how many years now? 15?
2003.
Right,
we
yeah.
started. Yeah. I mean, yeah. First of all, there was nothing grand. Like there was no plan. It was. I always just say it was a hobby that eventually got out of hand. So we just.
That is definitely one way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, like all four of us had been in a band. Well, actually, three of us had been in a band and bands since we were about 12, just playing covers. And me, Chris, and Rob used to. This was about halfway through secondary school or something. So we'd come home from school. We'd then go to the slightly more expensive, posher boys' school, clean that. That was like our little after-school job. Get like £5 a day or something, and then we'd go and practice. And that was we did that 3 times a week. So it's like our weekly routine. So, and that's always like my first, when people say like ask for advice for young bands and stuff, just practice like hell. So we had like at least 3 or 4 practices every week. And so then it really was just kind of doing it for fun, with a bit of ambition starting to sneak in once we started playing gigs and we got into the local scene. And our local scene was thriving and amazing, like a vast swathe of incredible bands over all types of kind of alternative music, really. And once we got into that, I think we started not just really enjoying it, but just starting to have a kind of vision. And I think that the two kind of defining things for us were lyrically and kind of what the band is just about in a very simple sense is just unity. With the gigs, trying to create community, and with just our general outlook, just fighting for unity in a world that, as we all know, is becoming increasingly more divisive. And then the other thing was just to make music that couldn't really be pigeonholed. So we were very lucky, as I say, to be in this scene that was all sorts of music throughout the whole spectrum. And we were influenced by all, and at time, 15 years ago, people were still like very purist in how they listen to music. So you'd have the metalheads who listen to metal and think everything else is shit, and you to listen to
that's not metal.
To listen to dance music is blasphemy, pretty much.
Genre snobbery growing up was such a big thing. And it goes to that thing of like, although in some ways things have become more divisive in rhetoric, in other ways unification has sort of taken hold. Like I think people are more accepting of genres now.
Definitely. There's not so much of a. I think there's pros and cons to this, but I think it's mainly positive that there isn't that. You sort of define your whole being by what music you listen to. It decides what clothes you wear. It decides who you hang out with, where you hang out, almost some outlooks on the world. And we were quite lucky because our local scene was. There were a lot of good hardcore bands, punk bands, that gave us a sort of a sense of social justice and community and things like that. So that was important to us as well, to make music that didn't just fit into one narrow bandwidth of the musical spectrum. And
you talk about unity, and I guess that as you grew as a band, the battlefield, if we call it that, in which you preach isn't probably the best word to use, but that you promoted unity actually grew, because initially it was in your local community, unity there, and then as you're playing bigger and bigger stages, you're now talking about unity on global issues. Well, we almost got forced into it, really, right, because I don't come from a sort of very politicized like family, like my parents aren't like massively like social justice warriors or something like that. It was more the first thing that got me into sort of wanting to provide a space that can be used for unification, was that our local council started basically preventing or making it incredibly hard for us to put on gigs. And that, I think, gave us straight away a sense of just not
trusting, the powers that be, and having a sort of distrust of authority, because these gigs were the shows that we were involved in putting on were our local youth club. They were effectively getting kids off the streets and getting them out of trouble, but of course they hear the music that those in the council and they think, this is obviously just drugs and violence, and
they perceive it's a coming together in which trouble is then organised, like organised crime.
And of course there's the one or two occasions where bad stuff to happen, but on the whole it was an amazing thing for I probably wouldn't be in this band and doing this and having this outlook if I didn't have that sort of youthful community and artistic community that we had. So that was incredibly frustrating, but that sort of it kind of led us down the path to wanting to not just continue fighting council and putting on these gigs, but creating a unified local scene, because we had to sort of band together to fight to put these gigs on. So that was a very small scale experience of fighting for unity, and then as you say, things just slowly expanded and started wanting to sing about bigger events.